All right, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Lionheart Radio with your host, Rick Alexander. Today I'm talking to Scott Mulvaney. He is the host of LiveTheFuel Podcast. Scott, thanks for joining me.
Hey, man. Great to be catching back up.
I think I just called you the coast. What I meant was host.
Well, it's a coach as a host. I've coached a few, but I figured you were kind of blending the coach-host factor. I thought you were actually having fun there on purpose.
That's the new co-host word.
We just created a new term.
That's right.
The coast. Not just for people who live on the coast.
Yeah, exactly. So for people that are listening to this, can you give us a little bit of a just expose into what Live the Fuel is?
Absolutely, man. I joke around to people all the time. It literally started just as motivation, inspiration. I didn't know what I was doing. I just needed an outlet for my energy and launched a Facebook page. The brand came up because I literally had a whole wall in my old house covered in Post-it notes. I went through a branding exercise and trying to tie together all the crazy life transformations, like, farm kid turned, corporate dreams chaser turned, give it all up, go back to school, and then became, one of the elite hotshot wildland firefighters for a couple of years out west. And then now back here on the East Coast and doing sales and marketing and being an entrepreneur. So yeah, Live the Fuel actually stands, thanks to corporate world and government, they love acronyms. So I decided to create my own acronym, and Live the Fuel actually originally stands for Live the Fired Up Epic Life, which came from a Ernest Hemingway quote, live life to the fullest. That was a quote that I still live by to this day. And I said, hey, you know what? I need to come up with something that really just is me, is my followers, it's my fans. Obviously, now that I have a podcast show for 2.5 years, back then there was not even a blip on the radar for a podcast, let alone now an upcoming book and all kinds of other stuff. So if that helps give you a little bit of a skinny, take action on your inspirations, and maybe you'll come up with a whole brand.
Yeah, that's dope. Actually, I didn't know that. And that's really interesting because I started with a Lionheart Facebook page. It was the first thing. It just said Lionheart and there was nothing else to it.
Right.
I had some things of what it meant to me, and I knew eventually I wanted a business, but that's really funny that we had that same sort of origin.
Well, let me ask you, did your first logo suck?
Oh, it's god awful.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. So the people that listen to Lionheart Radio, it seems like, especially with the new direction that I've gone in the last probably year or so, it's a lot of people that I feel like they look around at their lives and they might want something different for their lives. And I think what's really cool about you is that you actually had the impetus and took action on that feeling of like, maybe I want something different for my life. And so if you can think way back to the beginning when it was just a Facebook page, what was it that made you think like, I can leave this corporate gig that I'm sure you worked hard to get to?
The interesting thing was Live the Fuel actually came way after that. I didn't even have the brand concept, because Live the Fuel, live the fired up epic life, right? My logo is fire, and it's specifically a white flame because that is more intense than the red, orange, yellow spectrum of flame. So I geek out about fire. But that all came because obviously fire came from firefighting. Well, I didn't become a firefighter until 2010, 2011. Prior to that, my corporate days was really, after leaving high school, getting into the startup space in 1999, then paying my way through college in the early to mid 2000s, and then going to a fire academy in 2009, which led to that. So as far as the mindset shift, I joke around. It's going to be in the book. Like it came literally from meeting a girl. Like I was frustrated. I thought chasing the corporate stuff was what I was supposed to do. I grew up in a blue collar family, farm kid. My dad's been an entrepreneur his whole life. My younger brother's an entrepreneur, but I didn't want to do what they did. So I was like, wait a minute, I got buddies of mine chasing like engineering and like corporate stuff. And I'm like, I see these startup companies like geek out about technology. I'm like, maybe that's where I'm supposed to go. And I did that for many years and realized I was not happy. And then met this random girl. Her name was Shasta, and named after Mount Shasta in California. I was like, dude, your parents have got to be hippies, because her sister's name was Denali, as in the mountain from Alaska. So I was like, okay, come on. Really?
That's some shit I would do, but okay.
I figured you would appreciate that. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute. Dude, as a fellow outdoorsy nut, I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
But that was my first time meeting somebody, whether you're a male or female or whatever, like meeting somebody from the West, like Western US. And it's interesting because, I mean, you're probably like me. Most of our listeners are probably USA, but we do have international listeners too.
For sure. Yeah. New Zealand is my second biggest outside of the US.
Boom. Oh, that's on the travel list. I haven't been down there yet. So, but meeting that girl, I'm like, wow, she's so laid back, so zen, so chill. And being a Northeaster, like, I'm an hour and a half from New York City, hour north of Philly. We're a very driven personality type, very type A. So she was just a crazy shift in my mindset. And we only got to hang out for a few months. And I was like, what are you going to go do? She's like, I'm moving back to Nevada. I'm going to be a hotshot. I'm like, what the hell's a hotshot? So I learned about wildland firefighting and what she was going to go do. And I'm like, what? And this is a girl doing this? I'm like, yeah, girl. I'm like, dude, badass. And I became obsessed with it because I met her in 2007. So from 07 to 09, I'm still doing my corporate crap. And then I say, wait a minute, I gotta finish this chapter. I'll be the first person in my family with a college degree. I'm paying my own way. So I was like, you know what, Scott, go back, put the horsepower in on nights and weekends as an adult student, finish this degree, finish this chapter. Don't ever feel like, oh, what if I would have never finished this or whatever. I'm like, all right, let's close that chapter and move on. Bang the degree out in marketing and psychology. I got a bachelor's of science in that. Even though as an entrepreneur today, I'm like, I joke around, I'm like, I don't really need it. I mean, I finally framed it a few weeks ago. That's been sitting in a file folder behind me here on the video. Like, it's been sitting back there in a file box for years. I was like, yeah, maybe I'll frame it. But to complete the story for you, I became obsessed with this. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And that's like a little trick there. It's a little hint. Like, wait a minute. This went on for a couple of years. Like, when I got frustrated, I'd find myself Googling wildland firefighters, wildland firefighting, hot shots, like learning all about it. How can I get involved? How do I take a farm kid corporate guy and turn him into a firefighter? Right? Like, right. There's a shift. So then I found an academy in New York. And while finishing my senior year as an adult student, I took a week off and went to New York out in Long Island, found an academy out there that trained, wildland firefighting and certification. And I got to study alongside of people fellow New York Fire Department people that were up there for taking classes. These are people who survived 9/11. And I got to, just the inspiration that came out of that. And then it clicked. I was like, wait a minute. When this degree's done, the what if kicked in again. I'm like, dude, like, all right, I've got a great pedigree, resume wise, got the professional experience, got the salary experience. Now I've got the degree. Let's screw it. Let's go. And landed a gig on a hotshot crew. And next 2 years was hiking in the mountains, growing a mountain man beard, wielding a chainsaw, digging in the dirt, and doing 16 hours a day on a fire line in the mountains.
Right. You know what I love about that story is like this idea that you were sort of just open to whatever would come next. And it was like, well, let me figure that out. How might I do that? That
was scary, dude. It was scary, right?
So that's what I'm wondering about, because there's a lot of people, like you said something at the beginning of your story. You were like, I was supposed to go do that. That is the thing that I think keeps everybody trapped in their little world, is like what they should do, what they're supposed to do. Like, if you can go back to that moment, like, how was it? You just did it afraid? Like, what did that look like?
It was, and this is great for your listeners, because like you being Lionheart, you're on my show already. That's why I was looking forward to catching up with you, because it takes a special person like you and your show to actually understand what it is that I went through mentally. And I don't think enough about it. I don't go back to those thoughts. I like to live in the now and the future. I don't like to go to the past. But this is different, right? This is like, wait a minute. These are these trigger points that I'm now trying to make sure is going into the book about, so you want to be a hotshot is what I think I'm going to end up titling it, the final title, because that was the mental shift, right? It's like, wait a minute, like, what if? And because, well, I'm supposed to do this. Well, who's to say you're supposed to do what? Like, I had a friend of mine, I was doing sales for his IT company, and he and I were neighbors. We had loft apartments. It was, I was doing good money with no degree, and not the money's everything, but I was like, I thought I was comfortable and I was happy. And
sure.
I was like, dude,
it's not everything, but it's enough of things to keep you in one place. Yeah.
Money makes things easier. Let's be real.
For sure.
Having financial, but I hate to use this term. I was kind of keeping up with the Joneses a little bit, right? Like, I was living a lifestyle, not that I live today. I was spending money and like going partying, stuff like that. I wasn't rock climbing and racing mountain bikes and doing all my I spent years after that doing ski race coaching with kids and stuff like that. Like, those life balancing components were barely even a blip on the radar. And then when people started questioning me saying, oh, well, I'm probably going to go do this. I'm going to go become a firefighter, right? I want to go serve in public service. I want to just take a break and see what if this is what I'm supposed to do, right? And everybody, and then sure enough, what do you got going on, man? You got the people like, wait a minute, dude, you busted your ass all these years. You got this resume. You got, without a degree, I was averaging between, 60 and 75K a year. Okay, not a bad salary, right?
Sure.
I'd already been with a company before that for a few years. I had 2 to 3 weeks paid vacation, blah, 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 jobby job stuff, which nowadays I can care less about any of that stuff, right? But back then I was like, okay, a lot of check boxes were getting filled in. And then, meeting somebody like Shasta, meeting the firefighters, things just started building momentum. If that helps answer your question, it's like, wait a minute, not just a what if, but that's like, wait a minute, in my cubicle life, which I'll never go back to, I'm not, you don't have to risk your life, but it's like, wait a minute, where's the public service component? Where was, I all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute, what is this brotherhood, this sisterhood that comes with military and police and fire? And I'm like, whoa, like, I don't get that here. What if I can get that? And maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. And obviously I didn't end up doing this the rest of my life, but I wanted to, it just, the fire literally started building within me. And people questioning my decision to go and do this started getting numbed out. I was like, oh, all of a sudden I don't hear you anymore. Because the fire started roaring inside of me. I've never actually put it this way. The fire started roaring like a wildfire, because wildfires in full-blown intensity to the point where they chase you out of the woods because they're so dangerous. Like, it sounds like a freaking freight train. Like, we've literally been chased out by wildfire. So it becomes deafening. And then all of a sudden you could just tune out all the naysayers and the people questioning, what you're considering to do. Because it's like, it's not their life. And now years later, after personal and professional development, I know you could back me up on this. It's like, wait a minute. They weren't questioning me. They were reflecting on the fact that they've not embraced their own what ifs. And that's their own internal voice manifesting outward on me. Yep.
Man, and that's exactly it. I'm so glad that you said that. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, a lot of times, people, they'll question what you're doing, but that's because they've arranged the world in a certain way. And so who they are is dependent on who you are, because they're comparing themselves in relation to you. And if all of a sudden, I've talked about this on the show before, but if all of a sudden you're like, yeah, but I'm going to go do this, they're like, not only are they like, but what am I capable of? But it's like a direct reflection that, like, people in their world are moving in a different direction, and that they might have that same capability. And that makes them uncomfortable just as much as it makes you uncomfortable.
Oh, I mean, I didn't realize it at the time. I mean, now obviously years later, that was, again, 10 and 11. You and I are talking here in 19. So, sure. and the personal and professional development is something I'm very passionate about, because obviously I was experiencing it back then, but just at a different level to where I am today. That's something I always try and teach to people. I'm like, guys, like, it's okay. We're all at a different place in the timeline. I didn't know back then that what I was hearing from people was their own issues manifesting outward. Now, years later, I know. I'm like, dude, it's okay. It's just them struggling to comprehend that they know somebody willing to break this common mold, right? It's like, wait a minute. I'm friends with Scott, or I'm part of Scott's family, and he's choosing to do something so freaking crazy. It's like, what's going on? Like, I ended up shocking people's worlds, not just my own. I didn't realize that, but now I know that.
Yeah.
And that freaked them out.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting. Sometimes we think we're not capable of something just because we've not witnessed it before in our economy and in our life and stuff. And what I think is interesting is you talk about this, Shasta, this girl that you met. And one thing I've noticed in my own life, like, we're also boxed into our lives sometimes in what we think we're supposed to be doing, that when you meet somebody that's actually like, well, I'm going to go do this, and they're actually like, just, unapologetically pursuing the things that they want in life, it's like almost refreshing to be around.
I was not used to it. I mean, that's exactly who she was. She didn't give a crap what anybody thought. She was just doing what she wanted to do. And it's like, now granted, like, I'm in a career, and she's kind of like, I don't even remember what she was doing back in the day, but she didn't really have like a full-time gig. I mean, she was kind of living in somebody's house, like looking after their kids. I don't know if she was an au pair. I can't even remember anymore. I've totally forgot about it, because I just remember her just being very carefree. And she was And I remember her even saying this. She was so looking forward to go back to the West where she was from. Like, she's like, you know what? My adventure here on the East is done. I'm ready to go back West for a new chapter. And she only served as a hotshot for 1 year, but her whole goal was the advantage of being a hotshot or a wildland firefighter is you just kill yourself for a whole summer. So it's 6 months of just intensity. But you're so busy and you're working all the time that you can't spend your money. So if you're smart, like, she had a goal. She loved healing people. She wanted to become a professional massage therapist. She just loved like touching and healing and fixing people. And she has her own business now to this day outside of Reno, Nevada. So kudos to her. She's married with kids and everything else. I never would have expected her to be like, she's like me. Like, I have no goals to be kids. I made sure I got fixed. My fiance and I are getting married in a few weeks, and we're like, dude, we want none of that. And I thought that girl was the same way. And all of a sudden she's married with kids and got a massage business running out of her house and everything else. So I was like, you know what? You go, girl.
Yeah, that's dope. So if you think back to that time, did you have like debt and mortgage or things that you had to like figure out just to
dude, I was a jackass in my finances.
Okay. Well, the reason
I'm still cleaning that up. Okay.
I think a lot of people are like, that's part of the golden handcuffs, right? That they're like, well, yeah, I'd love to go do X, Y, and Z. And then they bring up, but I have a car payment and a mortgage. You
ever hear the I don't know if it's a quote, a term, a statement. I've used it for years because I learned it from somebody. But I was like, do you ever hear the money to brains ratio?
No.
That's what I used. I was like, all right, I'm increasing my money, but my brains are still falling out my ass. So my money to brains ratio is not looking very good. I keep increasing the money. I keep chasing the salary. I keep chasing the promotions because I haven't spent time working on this. And it's like, wait a minute. And up to your podcast listeners, not people watching this, it's like I'm pointing at my brain, because this is one of the secrets of success and financial success and wealth generation is that there are so many people. Like, look at the statistics about people who win the lottery, right? Almost all of them lose the money. It's gone. But then you got crazy people like the Trumps of the world and other people out there who, like, they can lose millions of dollars tomorrow and they can get it back in a couple of months. Why? They have the mental game. They know how to build wealth. They know how to regain it. Losing a few million can matter. And I didn't have the mental game. I didn't understand the value of, like, who cares whether I'm making 70 grand or 40 grand? Because when I was a firefighter, if we didn't have a hot fire season, if I wasn't a hot shot, I probably would have walked out with maybe 20, 25K. That's it. But thanks to being a hot shot, being on the hardcore fires, you're getting double pay, you're getting hazard pay. I don't know if that's similar to the military world or not, but you know, the one summer I walked out with 40 grand. So, and if you're smart with your money, and if you have no debt, that's all cash sitting in the bank. And you can just take off the rest of the year and rest and recover and travel and experience the world. And my first year wasn't as good. My second year got a little bit better because I was like, wait a minute, I want these freedoms. Because some of my brothers in the fire line, there's one guy to this day, I follow him on Instagram. Dude, he's literally in Hawaii right now, cutting down giant Hawaiian trees, like for a wood company. Like, that's what he's doing when he's not fighting fires. And he's like surfing every morning and then goes and cuts a tree down. I don't know, whatever he's doing. And he's making thousands of dollars doing it because he has a very specialized skill. And I remember when he was younger than me, but he had no debt. So money to brains ratio.
I like that. I think that's one of the areas, truthfully, that the military actually stunted my growth, right? Like, I didn't have to have a financial IQ because we have really high reenlistment bonuses. I mean, our reenlistment bonus was $100,000 for 4 years. So it's like,
nice.
Just, right? So I could totally be a dickhead and spend all of my money. And like, I just know I could reenlist or go on deployment and pay it off. And so that was like toward the end of my career, that was a come to Jesus moment for me. That was like, okay.
What do you think? So now that you know this, right? Yeah. I'm intrigued. Like, I've never got a chance to ask you this. Like, do you think that's part of their psychological game? Like getting you, and part of the reference to drugs, right? But it's like getting you hooked on it, right? Like, oh, wait a minute. If I burn that bridge, it's cool. I was got to do something back up again, right?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think that's society's game in general.
Create the dependencies.
Yeah. I kind of think that's like sort of how we make sure that the wheel keeps turning.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with money, right? I mean, it's like these, oh my God, here, I'll give you one example of my jackassery. God, this is a long time ago. Do you ever hear these, I don't know, what do you call them? Get paid today or get paid
like a
today?
payday loan.
Yeah, that crap. Dude,
Yeah.
I did that.
Oh,
I have
God.
no idea. My father never knew this. And then I told him one day what I did, and I've never needed people's money. Like, my dad spotted me a couple times over the years, and I paid him back real fast because, like, it's my dad, right? And that's the way I grew up. I had to buy my own cars. He wouldn't let me get a license until I had a year's worth of money saved up to cover all the car insurance and the cost of the car. So I didn't even start driving until I was like 17, 18. Even though I was technically driving at like 13, 14 with the farm tractors and stuff. So, right. But he's like, dude, you gotta have a game plan, right? And then he found out years later, like in my 20s, I was doing the payday thing, and I didn't need to do it, but I was spending the money as if I already had it. And now I can look back and I'm like, man, I want to go back in time and just like shove a big boot right up my butt. Cause like the interest rates on that are stupid. Like, I don't even know what it is. I just, like, anybody who still does that to this day, please stop doing that. Cause now I'm seeing like stuff on social media advertising that there's some kind of new app out there, and it's basically some kind of new agey version of this crap. And if you're a millennial listening to this, or whatever, what's the new one, the Zennial or whatever, the Z-Gen, dude, please do not do this. Like, this is how they get you trapped, because then you're constantly chasing your dollars because they're taking a huge chunk of your next paycheck. I did it in my 20s. I was an idiot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we push in America. I mean, I'll get on my soapbox for a minute, but we push that, right? Like, that's what a mortgage is. The American dream is up to your debt and fucking up to your eyeballs in debt, and just, being a slave to something, like a mortgage, essentially. Like, I went through that whole thing and sold my house just for the freedom, whatever. I didn't like the emotional bandwidth that it was taking up in my life. But I just think, if you think about all of the people that are pushed, like, a mortgage is a good investment, right? That's what you always hear. And it's like, well, maybe, right? Could be, for sure. But I'll tell you this, if I said, hey, Scott,
debt is debt, dude. Debt is debt.
Exactly. If I was like, hey, Scott, I've got a business, pretty much a guaranteed winner, but I need you to borrow $350,000 from the bank and pay me, you'd be like, well, let me do a little bit of research. But instead, we're like, well, it's the American dream. And you're like, okay, well, I'll do it then. And
here's the thing, as a branding and sales and marketing professional, that's just crazy good marketing, dude. Somebody a long time ago put that advertisement out there, that commercial out there, saying, you too can have the American dream, having the roof over the head and blah, blah, blah. Take a loan out today. And like, or you wait until you can afford the home and you buy it outright. Right. It's much harder to do. But we live in this society of we have to have everything now. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So, all right. So let's, you do the hotshot thing for a couple years. Yeah. And then what was it that made you decide to go, or did you go from there into full-time entrepreneurship, or did you go back to
I moved to Colorado, as you are now there.
Yeah. And
because I fought a fire there in, was it 10 or 11? I think it was 10. I think it was my rookie year. It was the 4 Mile Canyon. I think it to this day. It was a 4 Mile Canyon complex fire on the ridge behind Boulder, outside of Boulder. I remember to this day. And I'm like, and then because just driving through the state, I'm like, dude, this looks awesome. And I was like, I'm going to move here. And sure enough, I did. And so at the end of 11, relocated there, had some adventures there. I tried getting back into the job world. Even though as a government employee, you're guaranteed unemployment. So because you were a federal seasonal employee. So I wasn't a career U.S. Forest Service employee. Most of that summer fire season, they're just hiring people on as seasonal firefighters. And you have to be into a full-time career position by the time you're 36. 32, 33. I can't remember what the number was. And I was already 31, 32. I was already the old guy. But if you're not in, you don't get your pension and all that other crap. And I never really was drawn to that anyway. And anyway, I just realized, I was like, you know what? 2 years in, I was honored by it. Life-changing experiences. I got friendships to this day that people you risk your life with. Like, it changed my life. And I honor that every single year. I run charity workouts in memory of fallen hotshots and everything else. So I just realized, like, you know what? This isn't what I was meant to do the rest of my life. It was life-changing. It gave me perspective. But it was like, it didn't feel right. So it's like, all right, let's embrace some change again. Moved to Colorado. And it wasn't really fully, I don't think I had the balls yet to even try and do the entrepreneurial thing. And I was like, wait, hold on. Before you became a firefighter, you had the great resume, you finished your degree. So now, like, how cool is this going to look on a resume, right? Like, you have all this career experience, you got a degree, and you've risked your life, for the common man. Like, and I found out later, like one of the 3 most dangerous jobs in the world. I had no idea. A buddy of mine looked that up. I was like, oh,
nice. I'm going to do it this year. So that makes me excited.
Right? I was like, oh, okay, I can check that off the list. So he didn't bother telling me that until after I got back. He's just like, dude, did you know you're doing one of the most dangerous jobs in the world? I'm like, no, I didn't bother reading that fine print. I just got excited and went for it.
Right.
And I'm excited for you, by the way. We'll have to talk more about that. So anyway, I'm chasing the job. I have a spreadsheet saved on my Google Drive to this day. I think I applied over 200 jobs in the greater Denver, Colorado market. Everything from, because I was already a USSA ski race coach. I was a certified spinning instructor. I'd done personal training. Dude, I wore many hats. So I applied to everything, dude. I was trying to get into tech jobs, sales and marketing jobs, trying to do marketing for ski resorts. Like, I'm a ski guy. Could not land a gig. So did some contract work. So I started doing that, man. I was installing those fancy measurement bikes at the really, really high-end bike shops where you sit on them and they can get you the exact measurements and fit you to the perfect bike for road cycling and mountain biking and everything else. My buddy, I helped him open a shop in Littleton in southeastern Denver. Shout out to Pedal. I mean, that's the best shop ever in Colorado as far as I'm concerned because I helped him open it. And then I scored a gig with a company out of Boulder called Adventure. I think it's called Adventure Fit. And they're running obstacle course races. So, and obviously now years later, I now do Spartan races from time to time, and I've done the Tough Mudder tournaments. But back then, I was traveling around through Colorado and even all the way out to Boston, Massachusetts to help them put together their race courses and run obstacle course running events. And then a friend of mine's like, hey, Scott, I'm looking to start up a sales and marketing like representation firm back here in Pennsylvania. You have the skills. We're good friends. The big Hurricane Sandy slammed the East Coast in 2012. And my fire buddies called me up from Arizona like, yo, dude, we've never been to the East Coast. We know you have. You're on our road trip back east. We want to go out and make some side cash, cleaning up tree debris and helping people's homes with the trees because we hear that the tree companies back there are like gouging people. And plus, it's a great way to make some money in the off season. So I was like, great. So they literally hired me. They drove from Arizona. I hopped in my Jeep, hopped into the convoy, and we all drove back east and spent month and a half back on the East Coast. And that's how I reconnected with my friends, and they wanted to give me a gig. So that's what brought me back to the East Coast. And I was actually an employee for her company. And now she's my biggest client to this day.
That's really cool.
Right? So, because I know her business. And and I didn't want to be her employee anymore. She's still trying to make me become an employee again. I'm like, no, I don't need to be an employee. I have my own LLC. I was like, we have a contract. I pay my own taxes. I don't need your employment. I'm fine. I'll help you hire really, really good employees, and I will train them and coach them and develop them. But I was like, I don't need to be your employee. Sorry.
Yeah. You know what I like? I don't really say this often, but one thing I really love about just listening to your story and the way that you view life. I heard a quote a while ago, and it was like, is this life, it was by Rob Bell. It was like, is this life a trial that you have to endure, or is it an adventure that you get to go on? And I think what's really dope about your outlook and the way that you've sort of just moved through your life is that it is sort of, you have sort of treated everything like an adventure. And for whatever reason, like, because you've done that, you've been able to grab all of these different tools and tricks, which I'm sure go into you being a really good entrepreneur at this point.
It's interesting. So I want to play two sides of that point. And okay. I thank you for the honor of you recognizing that. But back in the day, I have to be real. I love to be human. I want to be transparent. Dude, that shit freaked me out. I had friends of mine that were in like legitimate careers. I originally tried going to Penn State to be a mechanical engineer. In high school, I went to a technology school for vocational education instead of doing college prep, and I was studying microelectronics technology. Like, I was literally rebuilding circuit boards at 16 years of age. Like, I was a geek. And that's what opened my eyes and saying, wait a minute, I don't have to be a farm kid, and maybe I could go to college. And my friends working at a grocery store where we were pushing carts and running cash registers as our first jobs, like, they said, oh, dude, I'm going to Penn State to be an engineer. And I was like, well, I could be an engineer. I've already studied microelectronics technology. Why can't I do that? And I thought that's what I was going to do. And then I didn't like it, took time off, got into some startup companies and got into the call center industry and was managing call centers and everything else and coaching and developing people and yada, yada, yada. So I've worn a lot of hats. I've been a bouncer. I've been a bartender. I've been a spinning instructor. I've been a ski race coach. I've been a personal trainer. I'm a CFO1 CrossFit trainer to this day. I've worn a lot of hats. Friends of mine joke around. They're like, dude, we should just sit down with a big glass of scotch one day and just give you a dry erase board and just start writing down every job title you've ever had. And back in the day, that freaked me out because I felt weird. I was like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I, commit? And then years later, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a freaking chameleon, dude. I could take my crazy ass and stick myself in pretty much any damn situation out there. I could talk to anybody. Nobody freaks me out. Like people, let me pause on this. Why do people freak out about famous people? I don't get that. Like the whole movie star thing, like, oh my God, people are screaming and freaking out. Like, dude, I could walk by Brad Pitt tomorrow. I'm like, what's up, dude? I've never been fazed by that. Maybe that's thanks to this because I've worn so many hats. I acclimate. I don't know. This isn't a self-promotion. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. Like, maybe it's because you and I have been through a world of shit. Because I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, once I did the firefighting thing, too, I'm like, dude, I've stared at walls of fire taller than a treetop. Cool. So when people are like, oh my God, this happened to me, and I'm like, okay. All right. Right. Like I'm not really fazed by it. And granted, I've never been shot at, so I don't have that one to own up to.
I think it's funny. I mean, I don't get starstruck either. I don't really know where that comes from, other than people just being. Right. But I don't know. But so you did bring up a point though, right? That's really interesting to me. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately because I feel as though I don't fit in the system very well. Like I see my friends that are very successful, and I'm like, I know I can do that. Like. I can pretend I give a shit about whatever job and I can like shove myself in that box, but it'll kill my soul. Like I don't fit. And what's interesting though, what I've started to realize is that if you're not going to fit in that box, you have to be really good at what you do because you need to because people are going to think you're being ridiculous when you're not taking the job and getting the benefits and getting the mortgage and getting the kids and doing the things. And so it's like, you kind of have to really be a rock star at what you do in order to excel and earn people's respect if you're not going to be in the box. I don't know if that's what you've seen, but it seems like that's something I'm starting to realize in my own life.
It is true. It's funny because I'm actually in negotiations right now with a friend of mine's company. He wants to hire me and he wants me to run his sales and marketing. And I'm like, I'm not looking to be an employee, bro. You're welcome to become a client. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Like, he literally just emailed me back tonight and was questioning my rates. And I'm like, I know what I'm worth, bro. I haven't responded yet. Yeah. I will. I'm like, dude, you came to me and made the offer. So clearly you see value in what I bring to the table. I throw my numbers at you and now you're questioning my worth. Come on, bro. Like, I'm not a rookie, dude. I'm 41 years old. Bring it. You want to get into some negotiations? Let's get into some negotiations. I'm not a 21-year-old, fresh out of a college, a rookie. Come on. I'm not trying to be cocky, but I'm like, don't blow smoke up my ass. All right. You came to me.
But you also know what you're worth. Do you think for people that are listening to this, because we do have a lot of entrepreneurs and or trying to be entrepreneurs, that's probably what we have a lot of that are listening to the show. At first, did you find it hard to stick to your guns and know your worth? Like, did you have to?
Oh, it's hard right now. Like, as I'm talking to you, like, don't get me wrong, dude. Before I walked, I'm completely transparent. Before I walked in here, my fiance, does not want to be an entrepreneur, but she is. Okay. So she's a very intelligent woman. She's an equine horse veterinary doctor of chiropractic for animals. She studied at Cornell University in New York and got her doctorate from UPenn in Philadelphia. I'm a state school guy. Like, dude, I'm like, okay, dude, you guys got some Ivy League shit going on here.
Right.
But she and I are different. So she's very logical because she's medically trained, right? So she's very logical, grounded, and methodical. And I'm very visionary and driven. And it's frustrating as hell for me. But she's actually a good balance. So I was like, you know what, babe? I was like, before I came in here, she just came back from another veterinary business, actually trying to get her company, them to work together. They're a brand new vet business, and they came to her and her partner to see if they could be sending each other business. I was like, good, let's talk after the podcast tonight. I said, you know what, while we're at it, I was like, I'm going to forward you my boys' responses to my sales proposal. I want you to look at it. I want you to think about it because I know what I'm going to say, but I'm open to some filters, right? Now, granted, my early entrepreneurial pursuits, I was ready to just tell everybody to piss off, but I like being strategic, and I want to help his company. He's a great friend of mine. He and I have raced mountain bikes together. We road bike together. He and I go way back. So it's like, dude, it's an awkward transition, by the way, to try and help your friends' companies.
Very much.
Not everybody can do this. So I'm being very strategic, and I'm being very careful, because it's almost easier to work with complete strangers. I mean, actually, it's not almost. It's definitely easier. If that's not a lesson, I'm sure some of your listeners have probably have been there. So much easier to help strangers.
Much, yep.
But there's a different level of passion that I'm using in his negotiations. I'm like, bro, like, first of all, he started a company in the managed hosting sector of the IT world, right? So when you host a website, for example, like, he has full high-end, like, white glove level services. Like, you know the company called Stihl, STIHL? They make the chainsaws.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the number one brand of contracted chainsaws to the federal government. Almost every hotshot crew uses Stihl. That's one of his clients. Like, he's done a good job, but he's grown his company to the point with all through word of mouth. He has no sales team. It was all him. His whole company is all tech people. He has no sales. So it's like, dude, I was like, granted, you've crushed it and you're making some serious dough, and he can pay me what I'm worth, but I'm not trying to rake him over the coals. I just know what I'm worth. And I don't know. I think I can close out. I know what I'm worth. Like, I don't know how else better to say it. Like,
I know, that's great.
You want me to help you. I would be honored to help you, but I have to make sure we have a professional relationship, that you value me and I value you. Like, I'm not going to show up for less than this. All right. Especially because this isn't just me helping you grow your sales. You have no systems. You have no protocols. You have no process flows. You don't even have a CRM to manage your sales pipeline. Like, okay, so I come on and then I help you hire a couple of rookies, like, that are like, newbies to the sales world. Great. I can coach. I can develop them. What's the system? What are they going to follow? There is no system. This is more than just me coming in and growing your sales. I have to build you a freaking system. You haven't put a price tag on that yet. See, people don't think about this shit. Like, I've been in the big corporations. I've been in the startup, the midsize, and the big corporate. I've been through all those platforms before firefighting. So I get all this stuff. So I think that's something that we need to remind ourselves as entrepreneurs too, is that don't undervalue the crazy little road that you took to get to where you are today. Remind yourself of the mistakes you've made, the speed bumps you've had to jump over, or, launch your car over. I've jumped a few speed bumps in my days. Like, value the struggles, the trials and the tribulations, and don't be afraid of the next one, because if you look back over all of them, they all happen for a reason. And we learn some seriously epic shit from each and every one of those, especially the mistakes. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that is super well said. And that's something I try to push my clients toward. It's like, you're not pricing however long it takes you to do this thing now. You're pricing the last 10 years of passion that you've had to pour into this thing, and the suffering and the hard work. But in a broader philosophical sense, I think that knowing our worth is probably one of the biggest things that humans struggle with. Not in a money situation, in a relationship situation. Like, people really have a problem, I think, valuing themselves and knowing what they bring to the table, and then standing on that value and saying no to things and saying yes to things based on that value. I think that's really something that humans struggle with, just in a broader sense.
I mean, I'll give you a hack right now. You can Google this. You can Google contract employee versus, or what's actually a faster Google or search technique is 1099 versus W-2. And if you put yourself in the shoes of an owner, this is a hack. I always do this. I pride myself on this. I always try and put myself in the shoes of the owner of that company, or my client, or the person I'm consulting for, because I think that's my professional responsibility. This isn't just about me. Yes, I know the services I can bring and I can help them, but in the end, I don't want to give them everything. I just want to give them what they need and what they're struggling with. Let's fill those gaps. And if some of those gaps aren't what I want to do, I'm going to make sure I tell them that. Years ago, I used to sell out and just do everything. And I'm like, wait a minute, I hate doing this. I'd rather help you find another contractor that will do that better, because they have a passion in that area. Why the hell am I going to beat myself up against the wall doing something that I hate? But it took me a few years to figure that out.
Well, and go for it.
I was going to say, but just the final point, the 1099 versus W-2, just based on mathematics, the average mathematics, and my fiance will tell you this because we did math on her employee. She's two co-founder doctors, one and a third doctor as an employee. The average employee costs a company 15 to 20% That's your differentiation, right? So as a contractor, if I come in, I'm saving you 15 to 20% because you don't have to pay your FICA taxes, benefits, vacation time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So right off the bat, I've got a 15 to 20% threshold to play with on my numbers. Less paperwork to deal with. Like, dude, you just have to agree to my retainer. That's it. And I'm even giving you the option to pay me monthly or weekly. I don't care. But in the end, there's no tax paperwork. There's no FICA crap. There's no trying to get me to go meet with your HR person. Most companies under 50 people don't even have an HR person. Like, okay, all these extra, you don't think about this stuff. I think about this stuff, right? So value what you bring to the table, not just the skill set, but also the freedom that you're bringing to the company owners don't realize that. It's actually a benefit to bring on a contractor or consultant sometimes.
For sure. No, that's genius. So, all right. So you've mentioned something a couple of times. So right there, you were talking about your business and you were like, well, it's easier for me to bring in these people because I know what I do well. And then you were talking, okay, so let's put that right here. And then you were talking earlier about how
I should have warned you, dude. I drop a lot of shit. Sorry.
Oh, no, I love it. I'm just making sense of it all and unpacking it. So earlier in the conversation, you were talking about like engineering and looking at your friends. You're like, well, I can do that. So this is one of the struggles that I'm finding a lot of my clients are struggling with. There's a lot of things that you can do, right? But the struggle is figuring out what you should do. Throughout your struggles of figuring that out, and it sounds like now you really do have it down. Can you shed some light on that process or on what it took for you to figure out really what you should be doing? Like I say should as in like what you internally feel like you should be doing.
I'll give you some examples if that helps. So my current large client, the one I used to actually work for, now I work with. I like to use those terms. Like I'm not working for you, I'm working with you. Okay, it's a partnership.
It's important.
If I became your employee, I'm working for you. You lose, and this is something else I put value on. I'm actually going to write this into my next proposal. If I'm your employee, you always have this threshold differentiation. I don't care if you say, oh, I value my employees, blah, 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 blah. In the end, listen, whether I'm an employer or contractor, it's your freaking company. You always have executive decision. But as a non-employee contractor, consultant, whatever you want to call it, I could tell you when you're being a dipshit. Plain and simple. Like I tell my clients that, like, I will call you out and call you a dumbass. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just going to tell you that's a dumbass move. You might want to consider this. Now, granted, I'm not doing that all the time.
Right.
But my point here is that professional ability to do that. Most employees are afraid to do that because of the way the hierarchy is established. Now, back to your question, though, the feed off of that is then finding your strengths. Well, it took years for me to figure that. I mean, when I was in the corporate space, I actually was very, very good at building teams, coaching, developing. I give a shout out to T-Mobile Corporation. They're one of the third, basically number 3 in the cellular phone market. And they got rid of the managerial titles in the call center world where I was in. And they retrained us and redeveloped us thanks to an outside consulting company, which, again, smart move, right? Like, you don't know anything about coaching as a company. You have 14 call centers around North America with ranging between 200 to 600 personnel in each facility. You have management that clearly is not getting shit done. You want to turn the employees and the people into an inspired, driven workforce that loves working for the company and sees a career path in the company. Management's not getting it done. They remolded us into coaching employees, inspiring them, not managing them, not micromanaging them, helping them find their path in the company where they want to go. Maybe they're happy just answering phones every day. Great. Cool. Let's keep you on that path. All right. But coaching mindset is way different than managerial. I did very well at that. I always had a top performing team. So great. I know that's a strength. Does that mean I want to do it the rest of my life? No. I have a podcast now for that. I have YouTube for that. I have public speaking for that. I have about to become an author. I have a book potential for that. So I've channeled that strength into a different area that I'm comfortable with. I've realized now I don't want employees. I have some VAs. I have a virtual workforce. I don't want to manage people. My client, I train, develop, and coach her primary sales guy in the New England territory, upper northeast of the U.S. Like doing it, but she's just like, well, can you do this? Can you do that? I was like, you're trying to turn me into his manager. She's like, well, yeah, that's what I need from you. I'm like, I appreciate that's what you need from you. But in the end, that's my professional courtesy response to you. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to coach, develop, and improve your sales with him. If you want a manager, go hire a manager. Because legally, I can't be his manager anyway, which is one of her reinforcements is why she wants me to be her employee. She wants me to become a manager. I'm like, you keep trying to force a square peg into a round hole. I was like, let's play to the strengths here. I'm telling you exactly what not to do. Don't keep pushing that envelope because you will crash and burn. So does that help?
Yeah. And you know what? That's actually, just as I'm thinking about it, that's another advantage of having a contractor versus an employee is that they will tell you, like, you're fucked up here. And so, right. An employee they don't have the ability to do that because you hold the paycheck. Right. And
even if the bosses claim that they're open to your feedback, the open door policy.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. I'm sorry. I don't care, dude. It's just not possible. Like, it's all BS. Because you always have that risk of a legality issue, a HR issue. The way laws are nowadays, you can't. It's so risque. You could do it, and then 6 months from now, they've got that documented. All of a sudden, they just pull that out of the file and it's like, well, he did sue this 6 months ago, and now we don't like what he or she's doing now. So let's just go ahead and use this as fuel on the fire and dump your ass. Even though 6 months ago, you're like, well, no, you told me you wanted honest feedback, and we had this open corridor of communication. Now all of a sudden, I've literally seen this happen in companies. That's why I'm doing this. I'm not trying to create fear factor. This shit's real. It goes down. There's a power behind being an independent consultant versus an employee. Done. I'll go up against anybody on that shit. So. Yeah,
for sure. All right. So I've got this will be a semi-personal question, but I think it'll be very relevant for the audience. You are very, and this conversation has been much more about business, but you're very like into sports, and you, like you mentioned, you mountain bike race, you do CrossFit, all these things. Fitness is a huge part. Health and fitness is a huge part of your life.
Oh yeah. You and I vibed on that on my podcast.
So my question to you is, for people that are listening to this, how did you make the decision to make your business independent of health and fitness? Because most people, I think they want the autonomy of being an entrepreneur, and because they're so into fitness, their first thought is like, okay, I need a fitness business. What was it that helped you?
I've done that though. Like, I tried doing that. Like, I've got a side hustle to this day with a nutrition business on the side. I got a little small business team doing that. It's one of I've restructured. I call it a business unit, right? It's not a primary part of the brand, but if you look at my LLC is called Fuel Enterprises. That way, as I progress the business over the years, I can keep opening up new business units. Like, I eventually want to start building a real estate portfolio. Great. I could launch Fuel Realty or Fuel Properties or whatever the hell I want to call it, if that's available, whatever. So Live the Fuel was really the core of the brand, but I decided to launch Fuel Enterprises as my LLC so I could just have business units under it. I don't want to have like 15 million LLCs. That'd be just annoying. But if you look at the brand, like my who I am, Live the Fuel was me. Okay. The podcast, we fuel your health, business, and lifestyle. I tell people all the time, yes, I'm a sales and marketing professional. I love branding and marketing because I geek out about it. My BS is in marketing and psychology. So why can't you have the embodiment of health and fitness if that's something you're truly passionate about as part of your brand? You don't have to lead with it. But when I sit in on a meeting, think about it this way, dude. I'm 6'4". Right now I'm about 185 thanks to my little hospital adventure a few weeks ago. I need to get back up to that 190, 195. But okay, I walk in with dress shirt, vest, maybe a dress coat, maybe not. Nice solid like dark jeans, solid like nice classic brogue, brown dress shoes. Lean, fit, strong looking. With or without the beard. I'm growing the beard out for the wedding. She'll probably make me shave it for the wedding day, but I'm going to make sure I show up in Canada with a big mountain beard. Anyway, so there's me. Then, pardon me, but you got the 350-pounder not taking care of themselves, clearly overweight, gasping for breath, and you're going to go up against me on a contract. I'm sorry. People can tweet me and call me out on this. Dude, if we have equal pedigrees, who's winning? I am. I'm sorry. Because I guarantee you that person does not hold the same level of psychological confidence that I do. There is a power behind living a healthy, fit lifestyle. Okay. I was not always a type A personality like you're hearing on this podcast today. People don't believe that. Like when I was a kid, I was quiet. I was more type B, and people like, there's no fucking way. There's no way in hell that Scott was that way. I'm like, no, dude, I was quiet. I didn't have a shitload of friends. I was the farm kid. Like there was occasionally somebody would say that I smelled like crap. I don't know. That was my childhood. All right. Then I got into martial arts. Then I started working my ass off in jobs. Then I started making more money than my friends coming out of college with a degree, and I didn't have a degree, and they couldn't figure out why. And I'm like, because I bust my ass and I earn everything that I do. Then the confidence starts building. Then I start going back to school to build that confidence. Then I start getting into health and fitness to build that confidence. Then I go become a firefighter to build. Do you see the chain of events here, dude? Health and fitness is me. It is Live the Fuel. It is Fuel Enterprises. It doesn't mean I have to own a fucking gym. I got offered part ownership in a CrossFit gym. I'm friends with the owners. I helped them open it. I don't want to own it.
Right.
I told them, thank you, but no thank you. I will continue to help promote it. I will be a loyal fan. I'll come in on Sunday Hero WOD days. I come and coach occasional classes when I do. I don't want to own a brick and mortar business. Done. I know what I want. And you guys, I love them, but I'm like, it's not what I want. I don't need to own a physical gym, dude. That's you. You do you. That's not me. Does that help a little bit?
For sure. I love this integrated approach because it's like throughout the entire time, you're just building a case for yourself. Right. You know, you're just like, you're becoming more confident. You're becoming this person that doesn't mind speaking up.
Yeah, this shit doesn't happen overnight. Come on.
Right.
Be real.
Well, we went through your entire fucking resume here. So of course it didn't happen overnight. It's like, but, and these things are like things that you've really had to, like this, even though it's easy to mention it in a 48-minute podcast or whatever, it's like, like suffering out in the woods, fighting fires. Like this is real shit that took a long time. Like, when I say build a case for yourself, I mean you were really in the arena building the case for yourself.
Yeah, I was getting outside my comfort zone.
Yeah, but I love that integrated approach. It's like, yeah, you didn't lead with it, but it's still it is you. It's a huge part of what you are, and I think people can learn a lot from taking.
I've consulted. Let's be real. I've consulted on a few health and fitness related businesses. Like people have reached out to me because they see the brand,
right?
But that's not a primary I don't care. Like that's not. I don't have to like say yes. They say it's better to niche yourself, right? So yes, I do understand health and fitness. I've worked in it. I've served in it. I've helped build it. I own a business. But I don't need to lead with it. It could be a component of the brand. You don't have to lead with it. Like my primary client is in the HVAC industry. Like she's a sales marketing representation firm for manufacturers in the HVAC sector. I know a shitload now about ductwork and air conditioning and heating and all that crap. Okay. But that's a part of the skill set. I could take the sales and marketing and the training that I bring to the table and plug that into another industry. Cause like my buddy's company, he's IT. Nothing to do with HVAC, but I can then cross-reference now. If I end up bringing him on as a client, now I can help him get some clients possibly for his company from the HVAC sector. So now you're cross-pollinating the sectors. So that's the other thing that I've realized over the years is like, why bottleneck yourself? There's power in being, I ended up calling it, and this might sound a little narcissistic, but it's like, there's the old, I call it the Scott of all trades, the old term of jack of all trades. It took me years to embrace this. I was afraid of it. I saw it as a weakness. Now it's taking me years like, wait a minute. Having the confidence to step into almost any damn situation I want and not feel completely out of touch with reality, that's a strength. And it doesn't happen overnight. But you got to get yourself into these uncomfortable situations. You got to start wearing more hats, dude. But part of that is don't try and do everything. Part of StrengthsFinder 2.0, one of my favorite books, I'm pointing that back here on the bookshelf from Tom Rath. I highly recommend that book. I make all my clients go through it with their employees. I'm like, dude, yeah, we can wear multiple hats, but you got to find what you crush it with. Because then the person on the team that doesn't succeed with that, good, you take that over for them. And then the weakness that you have, why waste time trying to build that? Oh, wait, that's one of their strengths? Sweet, let's give them that. Play to your strengths. So.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I'm very much the same way because my attitude toward performance, it came from ultra running and it came from the special operations community. But
yeah, I'm jealous of that. I never got into ultra running, dude.
It's not too late. You're actually prime age, I think, for ultra running.
Well, and apparently my recent injury is endurance sports related. So apparently endurance athletes can collapse a lung like I did. So I was like, sweet, I'm definitely still in the endurance sector.
Well, and with your height, I mean, I was a medic, so I'll just say with your height and weight ratio, you are like prime candidate for a tension pneumothorax. Or
the spontaneous pneumothorax. Yeah, I learned that. So yes. So why didn't you tell me that before? Come on, man.
I talked to you months ago. I fucked up.
You could have gave me the insight on that. I'm like, oh. And then when I started coughing convulsively and triggered my own lung collapse, I was like, oh, that's a thing for tall, lean athletes. Again, getting myself outside my comfort zone. I've never had a chest tube. Now I can talk to that. That's by the way, another great tip for sales success. The whole point of getting yourself outside your comfort zones and why I'm so confident is because I can literally go into any sales conversation and talk about all kinds of random shit for the first 5-10 minutes to kind of ease the conversation. And then we get into the business, all right? Because that's one of the hacks in business negotiations is it can't be all business from the get-go. You can't walk into a room and just, boom, attack. It's like, okay, let's ease the room down a little bit. Let's build the relationship.
Yeah, build that rapport.
You want everything now. You can't have everything now. You got to build the relationship. I had a meeting today out in Staten Island, New York. We didn't talk about business in the last 5 minutes. 35 minutes. We were talking about CrossFit. He's actually a trainer. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, last time you were here, there's those 2 product lines that you want me to look at. He's like, yeah, send me pricing over. I'm probably just going to go ahead and just order them. Because we have built a relationship over the past 2 years. And, yeah, it's a longer sales cycle. But now I don't have to ask for the sale. He feels guilty because we've talked about it so many times. And I'm like, oh, yeah, by the way, don't forget about this. And he's like, oh, yeah, dude, I totally forgot. My bad. By the way, sorry to hear about the lung thing. I saw it on LinkedIn. That was the whole story. He wanted to know about the lung injury. And then he felt bad and then wanted to ask for the pricing on these products so he can go buy them.
Yeah. Well, building rapport is everything, really. Because people do business with people that they know, like, and trust, right? I call it, it's just like, I call it a business form of dating, dude. Like, dating one-on-one. If you think you're going to close the deal on the first night, first of all, that's a bad sign for long-term perspective. But also it's like, dude, like wine and dine a little bit, build it, have a communication. I am not a love doctor, but I did okay. I'm getting married in a few weeks. Clearly, I'm going to land at least one. So, all right. So you heard it here first. Don't pursue the MBA. Just get on Tinder and start getting reps. Got it.
Right. I never use Tinder, by the way.
All right. So the final question is we ask every single guest, and I should have actually preloaded this so you would have known it was coming, but we'll just see how it goes.
Oh, I love a challenge. Perfect. Get me uncomfortable, man.
So based on all of the experiences that you've had, this can be based on literally everything you've done up until now. If you were given a platform for the day and whatever you said, it was guaranteed that everybody in the world would hear it. You could give advice to literally everybody in the world. It'd be translated to every language. They might not all follow it, but they would definitely hear your advice. What would you tell people?
Would you like a short and sweet one?
Whatever you want.
I used this on another podcast the other day with my friend Amy J, Chasing Dreams. At the end of the podcast, I don't know where the hell this came from, but it was a lot of what we just talked about today. Today on your show, we were much more amplified, so I'm not going to apologize. That's just how I am. I was fired up. Yeah. The quote that I threw out at the end was, be prepared to kick your own ass. And my point behind that is we now more than ever are living in a world of blame game, lack of accountability. If you want to bring the Me Too thing in, whatever. Dude, stop passing the buck. Okay? We're all guilty of it. Let's be real. Sometimes I'll catch myself. Like, we all need to be personally and collectively accountable for our results for ourselves as individuals as well as a society. Stop passing the buck. And in the end, when you're lacking motivation and inspiration, be prepared to kick your own ass. Because in the end, that's what you have to do. And that's what inspired the foundation of Live the Fuel on Facebook. I was actually looking for ways to kick my own ass. So when I had a great quote or a great motivation or I saw something on social media, I shared it through Live the Fuel. That's where it all began because I needed it at that time. And I was hoping if I got through to one more person that day or they enjoyed my post or my share, cool, maybe I helped somebody else kick their own ass. So, yeah.
All right. So let me challenge you just a little bit on this. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, just kind of, I don't know, like the people get very complacent in life and they think they want something different, but they don't know where the hell to look. Like, where do you start in kicking your own ass?
Well, first of all, something as simple as you got to take a deep breath. I'm guilty of it. I'm so fired up all the time. I've had to learn the power of meditation and sometimes just slowing down, and the power of just taking a deep breath. I know that sounds hokey and it sounds so basic, and it's like, wait a minute, he's not dropping a bomb about, I already mentioned a book, by the way, Strengths Finder 2.0. I didn't write it. There's a strength right there. Go find your strengths, dude. But before you go read a book and you're getting all frustrated, or you're pissed off at your significant other, or you're pissed off at your job or your career, or you didn't nail that new contract as an entrepreneur, or you just lost a 10 grand a month contract, whatever. Like, dude, sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and find your center. And actually another powerful book, The 5-Second Rule, that's part of that breath factor, because taking that 5 seconds just to compose yourself, it shifts everything. Because like, now you're no longer going out of your lizard brain, which is the fight or flight mode. You've given yourself five seconds at least break through that initial, that old caveman mentality of fight or flight. Great. We've given ourselves 5 seconds. I've dissipated that. Now I can get right back into being, okay, I'm going to kick my own ass. I'm going to be strategic. Okay. I'm going to YouTube. Because that's the other thing. I can't give you a single answer on that, because some people there's a VAC method, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learners, right? Some people are driven by visionary, like Instagram. Some people are driven by auditory, an audiobook, podcasting. Some people are driven by the kinesthetic learning process. So they need to actually go attend a class or go attend a CrossFit session versus watching it on YouTube. So each and every person listening to this is going to have a different learning style. But one of the most important things you do first is take that deep breath, center yourself for 5 seconds, and then you could take action. And sometimes it's that simple. It's 5 seconds. And I forget the author's name, but that 5-second rule, love that book. So
yeah, that's dope. I'll link that up in the show notes of this episode. So for people that are listening to this and they want to follow along with you, support what you're doing, where's the best place for them to do that?
Everything is at Live the Fuel, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Again, the podcast show is at Live the Fuel. I made it very simple, a little hack for your sales and marketing world. Try and create a brand that you can own I call it the online real estate everywhere. So everything is at Live the Fuel. Again, livethefuel.com. There's a blog on there, but obviously the most intense content is because we're doing 2 shows a week. So if you want content, I try and pump out as much as I can. We got over 250 shows online now. So yeah.
Scott, I appreciate you joining me. Thanks for taking the time.
This has been awesome, man. I'm glad we got the chance to catch up. Fellow Colorado man.
Yeah, me too. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for listening to Lionheart Radio. I hope that the information from today's show will make you fitter, happier, and healthier. For the show notes of this episode and every episode, head to www.lionheartrad.io. Yep, just like Lionheart Radio. And please, if you have the time, head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us to know that we're on the right track in delivering you reliable information and value. As always, feedback is welcomed. If you have any comments on the show or like to suggest a guest, send me an email at rick@luavive.com. That's LUAVIVE.com. Thanks for your support, and we will see you next time.
Bitch, I feel good. Don't I look stupendous? My shine is so endless, and shit you can do to end this. Even when I'm dead, niggas still gon' bump that chip shit. Coke, white, Escalade on cinches for you dipshits. So you won't forget this. Midwest nigga be the coldest. Cleveland is